Do you wish you would read more? Tell yourself you should read more? What if I told you there's a simple hack that not only allows you to read better, faster, and more, but will immediately make your life better? Reading can be a powerful form of vibrational medicine. Stay tuned here, and I will show you how to effortlessly read more and automatically upgrade your life from that reading. You will discover how to turn each page into a stepping stone, getting you out of what's weighing you down and propelling you toward your dreams. Aloha y'all, I'm Daniel Aaron, your guide to vibrant living, and on this channel you get entertainment, inspiration, and empowerment to break free from the soul-sapping grip of mediocre monotony and create your vibrant, thriving life. As more and more of us awaken to our true potential, together we are creating a world where true peace and prosperity flourish, fostering change on a profound scale. Here's the thing with reading. We say, there's not enough time, I don't have time. I get it, I do it too. And yeah, we're busy. But let's be honest, the truth of it is, it's just not a big enough priority for us. And there are reasons for that, which we will peel away and get to the truth, and more importantly, get to actually reading more. Even better, I'll show you how you can take that reading and get more from it and apply it automatically and effortlessly into your life. When we read regularly and when we see how that reading benefits our life, it's a virtuous cycle. One begets more of the other. You get to feel better about yourself doing the thing that you said you should do, feel younger, smarter, and improve your life. So the hack, really simple, use reading as vibrational medicine. Now, I don't know about you, but that might sound woo, that might sound airy-fairy, and it is not airy-fairy, it is super practical. I will show you exactly how and why here. Put it simply like this. We are here on earth in these bodies to grow, to expand, to become more of who we are and who we can be. This is human potential. Another way of saying it is we are here to raise our vibration. You can think of it like this. Every time we run into a problem in our life, which is, of course, often, right? Life is full of problems if you look at it from that perspective. Every time we run into a problem, we tend to feel inadequate, tend to feel like we're missing something. Our energy tends to contract. We feel bad. That is for a purpose though, because we're here to grow, we're here to expand. So you can look at it like this. Right now, your current capacity, your ability is a circle. You could say that's your capability. And when things happen that are within that circle, you feel good, like I can handle it. However, when life brings you something that is outside the circle, then you feel inadequate in some way, contracted. So the game becomes, how do we expand our circle? Which means, how do we raise our vibration? How do we get bigger? How do we have more skills, more capacity? So the sooner we can expand the circle, expand our potential, the faster we feel better, the more we are on track with becoming who we can be. Of course, there are many ways of doing that, and reading is one of the fastest, most powerful ways of doing it. Because what happens is, when we read, and yes, we can read to get a particular skill or to learn something, absolutely. Another way of looking at it though, is we're tapping into the vibration, not only of the author, right? We're tapping into the vibration of the solution. No doubt you are aware of that famous quotation from Einstein, you can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. Which means in order to get to a solution, in order to expand, we have to raise our vibration. We have to get out of that box in some way. So what I encourage you to do is look at reading as one of your most powerful allies for how to expand yourself rapidly and specifically. All right, so let's break this down and make it super simple. First thing you do is take a look at your life and say, what's bothering you? And if you're like me, if you're human, It's not going to be hard to do that, right? We always are going to be encountering things that are not quite what we want them to be. That's okay. That's part of life. That's good. Then, and part of what that does immediately to improve your reading, and when I say improve your reading, I mean improve your reading in the sense that easier to read, get more out of it, read more. So once you've identified a quote problem, that gives your reading a whole different purpose. And when you have a purpose for the reading, it goes to the next level. It becomes automatic, it becomes easy to do. Where a lot of people struggle with reading is they think, I should be reading, right? A lot of us have had that message for years in our lives. You should read, it's good to read, smart people read. Yet, we don't feel the natural compulsion or the impulse to do it. As you start to work with this hack, you got a purpose, like I want to improve something, I want to get over something, I want to get beyond something. Next step is then you say, all right, what's going to help with this? And of course, these days it's so easy to do a little bit of research, whether that's on Amazon or just an internet search and say, I need help with this. This is the problem. How do I solve this? Of course, you're going to come up with authors, speakers, teachers that will be able to help you with it. A little bit of research, find out 1 or 2 or 3 books or authors that will help with it. Another good way of working with this is ask some friends or ask somebody who's already solved that problem or got beyond it. How did you do it? There are multiple benefits of using this hack in your life. 1, of course, you start to solve that problem, that thing that was weighing you down. 2, you start to feel better about yourself already and have more energy. How does that work? You have more energy because for all of us, every time we say to ourselves, I should be doing this, and then we're not doing it, it eats up some of our energy. So when we actually do the thing that we've been putting off, when we solve the thing that we were stuck with, it frees up energy. 3, the really obvious benefit, you get smarter, you get wiser, you improve yourself and your life. Now, let's get right into 7 actionable tips that you can apply to go beyond this and make your reading even better. Number 1, use NET. N-E-T stands for no extra time. And what that means is double up your effectiveness. That brings us, of course, to the great debate that rages on in the world these days. Reading with books, let alone electronic or physical copy books, or audiobooks. I know some people have very strong opinions about what is good, what is best, what they prefer. Whatever you're into, whatever form of reading, all reading is useful and good. The best reading is the one that feels good for you and works for you. Me personally, I love audiobooks, I love written books, I love electronic versions of books, and I love the physical copy books. They all work for me and they all have a place in my life. Using no extra time net means audiobooks, right? And this is such an amazing thing. I use this every day so frequently because if I'm going out for a walk with a dog, I can have earphones in and be listening to a book. When I am shaving, I put an audiobook on and listen to it. Working out, so many different ways. Driving, such a good way to learn and grow. Number 2, a little bit is way better than none. One of the common problems that people struggle with is, how do I have the time for reading? One of the great solutions for that is grab the time in little bits here and there. 5 minutes of reading, 3 minutes of reading, really powerful. Because if you do it every day, 3 becomes 6, becomes 9. If you do it periodically, if you do it when you're on the toilet, when you're waiting for the food to finish in the oven, those are great times to snatch a little bit of reading. Number 3, have different types of books for different situations, different moods, and different energies. For me, the way this works is sometimes I'm a bit tired or mentally fatigued, and I can't listen to a book, say, on investment or on science because it's a little bit foreign to me. It takes me paying attention on a deeper level. It's too much. I'm overloaded. On the flip side though, a book that is more story-based, or for me, because I love philosophy specifically, listening to books about philosophers or biographies That's easy for me. It takes very little mental effort for me to take that in. Other times, I'm charged up mentally, I've got a lot of capacity, maybe I'm driving and I'm on a straight highway. It doesn't take a lot of finagling or really paying deep attention. That becomes a time when I can listen to something that takes a little bit more bandwidth. Another benefit of having different types of reading, different books that are on your palate, so to speak, is that whenever we are consuming information, we tend to remember what's at the beginning and what's at the end. So if we change from this book to this book or this topic to this topic with greater frequency, we actually increase our understanding and retention at the same time. Plus, for most of us, there are multiple areas of life that we want to learn about, that we want to improve. I've always got books going on that are about philosophy or mindset. I've got other books that are more story-based. One of the roles I play in life is I'm a coach, so I'm often reading about how can I coach better. I've got other books that are about writing to help me improve my writing. I've got other books that are about public speaking so I can improve the way I communicate with you. Now, if you're finding this interesting, useful, valuable, it would be awesome if you would subscribe, get more from me, like, share this. It really helps me to grow the channel and to reach more people and for all of us to create more vibrancy in the world. I know this one is almost cliche. You've probably heard it a million times, and there are lots of different methodologies for how to take notes, and we could go into that another time. There's great material out there about how to take notes. The simplest thing to say about this, though, is clearly demonstrated, measured, researched. When we take notes, we remember more, even if we never actually look at the notes. Of course, if we look at the notes, even better. I love the work of Tiago Forte in building a second brain. Part of what I love about it is I've learned that actually the systems I've developed over the years for how to take notes, how to catalog information, how to tag things so I can remember it later, find it later, it's automatically happening. He takes it a whole nother level further, so if you're wanting to build a second brain, develop your note-taking and your memory, really useful his material. Relatedly, for years I've been into mind maps, and I find this to be one of the best ways of improving my reading, retention, understanding, and again, crucially, going back to the actual hack here, the implementation of the material. Because if we're just reading, taking in information without actually integrating, applying, and using it in our life, we're getting much less of the benefit. Mind maps are a great system. Like, here's my favorite way of doing this. I listen to an audiobook before we go on to number 5. And I say this not in any way to brag, though one of the most consistent compliments I get from people, I think it's a compliment, I'm not sure, is, wow, you read so much, or how do you read so much, or I wish I read as much as you do. For me, it's effortless, it's joyous, it just makes me feel good and makes my life better. So here's how I do it. 1, always, I choose books that feel like they're going to improve my life directly. 2, once I get the book, I read through the table of contents. What does that do when you read the contents? It allows your brain to understand what's coming. The information is going to be coming like this. So you're already making like a system in your mind, a flow for the information, categories, so it becomes easier for your brain to put the information into useful places and into places where you will be able to recall it and use it better. Most often, what I do then is listen to the audiobook. Like I said before, using no extra time, doing it while I'm doing other things means it's not taking me any time. Then, either periodically as I'm reading the book or when I get to the end of it, I will take the written copy of it and build my mind map from there. Actually, let me rewind, because part of what I do when I read the table of contents, I start my mind map at this point. It's like a way of telling my other than conscious part and my brain, hey, we're going to take on some really cool, interesting, useful information, and this is how it's going to look. So then as I'm listening, it's already starting to go into place. Then Once I'm building the mind map, I'm going chapter by chapter and saying, what are the key points here? What's something I want to remember? Maybe I type out a quotation. I like to do it on the computer, but you can do it with a handwritten form as well. Take some notes, I put that into my mind map, and I build that out, and really, I'm just working with, what do I love about this book? What's useful? And then, of course, wonderful if periodically you come back and look at it, because you've already got the information, so the refresher increases your understanding and your memory of it. Number 5, stop reading what you're not interested in. This is a really interesting one. I discovered this tip years ago when I was doing a photo reading course. And one of the first things they said in the course is, if you want to read faster, if you want to read more, stop reading what is not interesting to you. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, somehow I internalized when I was younger, if you start reading it, you got to read it all the way to the end. Maybe from school, maybe from my parents, I don't know. Really liberating though, to just say, yeah, I've gotten all I want out of that, or I'm just not interested in that anymore. Stop and put it down without any guilt. Part of what this does, which is really cool, is it again helps you to read more, because if we don't do that, what happens on an oftentimes unconscious level is we're thinking, oh, I should read. And then, conscious or unconscious, we think, oh, I'm really not that interested in that thing. So we don't actually want to read. Because how do we turn anything into something that's effortless? It's when we're excited to do it. It's when we're motivated, when we're inspired. So if we put away the thing that we're not interested in, we drop the resistance to it, and then we open up space for, what am I interested in? What will be useful? Number 6, from the moment you start reading, listening, either way, I'll use those interchangeably, plan to teach other people about it, right? Whether you actually do or not, that's secondary, and if you actually do, really useful. Ask my daughter about this. She's 16 years old. I am so frequently, as we're driving, as we're walking, as we're hanging out, eating dinner, whatever it is, I will say, oh, I'm reading this book. And you know, she almost rolls her eyes when I say that now. I was gonna say, oh, she'll then indulge me and say, oh yeah, what is it? What's it about? But actually, at this point, she's not just indulging me, she's often interested in it. What happens though, is I say, oh yeah, I'm reading this, let me tell you about it. And for instance, I was reading a book recently called The Like Switch, which is about the science of people, kind of like Dale Carnegie in a different format, how to win friends and influence people. This, The Like Switch by Jack Schafer, a former FBI agent, talking about how to create good relationships. And it's just really interesting and super practical. There was a tip that he shared in the book the other day, and I read it and I was like, oh, that's so simple, that's so cool. I wouldn't have known that. I shared it with my daughter and she's like, oh yeah, I can do that. And so she put it into her life right away. Now, here's the thing. When we read with the plan to teach people, we comprehend more. Then, when we actually do teach people, and you don't have to say teach people, just share, right? Just share the thing that you learned about, that you're excited about. That brings us another level of comprehension and mastery over the material. Actually, that was number 7. Number 6 is plan to teach it to people. Number 7 is actually do it, share it with other people. Bottom line here is reading is a super effective way to learn, to raise our vibration. And learning is a super skill. Learning is like the ultimate cross-training, a meta skill. The better we get at learning, the better we get at everything in our life, and especially, of course, the things that matter to us in our life. I don't know how it was for you when you were in school. For me, I read a lot when I was in school, but it was oftentimes from the perspective of, you have to learn this, you have to read this thing by Friday. And I did it, but it was not joyous. It felt difficult oftentimes. And I remember the first year after I finished college, I read probably 5 times as much as I had the year before when I was actively studying literature in graduate classes, because it was so refreshing to me. I got to read whatever I wanted, whatever seemed interesting to me, not because this is something you have to read. So Once again, the bottom line, the essence of this hack is read on purpose. Read for the purpose of making your life better in whatever way you want to. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching. And if you found this useful and interesting, you probably would like this one. So I encourage you to watch that one next. And aloha, make your life a masterpiece.